Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Tom's Hardware Show. It is September 17th, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, which means it's time to kick things off live. Yes, we are live with you right now, and we are taking viewer questions. So if you have anything you'd like to ask our awesome guest today, put your questions into the chat on Facebook or YouTube, and we'll be answering questions by the end of the show. So we have some lovely guests joining us today. One is a man I'm sort of surprised is even awake right now because he's been doing so much testing over the past few days. Tom's Hardware Senior Graphics Editor Jared Walton is with us. What's going on, Jared?
Hey, there's a reason I'm awake and the third-party cards aren't posted today. I wrote about 15,000 words about the Founders Edition 3080 this week, and I still have probably a couple thousand each for the two third-party cards I got. So I'm trying to get an Asus card up and reviewed today and an MSI tomorrow. I'll have them on the show today so we can check them out in person. But yeah, that's been my week.
Awesome. And also joining us today is Laptop Mag Editor-in-Chief and dear friend of Tom's Hardware, Sherri Smith. What's up, Sherri?
Well, first, I too would like to know how Jared is actually awake. Like that's some stuff that I do, and then I'll crash during the weekend. So how?
It's not the weekend yet.
All right, I'm just checking because I'm like three in one go. Oh man, but I'm excited because as we speak, Best and Worst Brands is going live. So if you check the site, you're like right now, I think Microsoft is live, and we're just going to keep rolling out. So hopefully by the end of this podcast, we could be talking about our number one pick. So stay tuned for that. But this has just been such a busy week. Nvidia, Oculus, PlayStation 5, like Apple, just so much stuff. All the embargoes.
And not enough sleep, but Jared's still going, so we're all still going with you, Jared.
Excellent. I just ticked on my fan. Do you guys hear the fan?
Nope, we good.
That would be Nvidia broadcast in action. Like I'm actually hot, which is why I turned on the fan, not to just like brag about Nvidia broadcast, but like my office has had two 3080 cards running for the last couple of hours. That's almost 1,000 watts of heat. So I was getting a little sweaty. I'm like, I got to turn on the fan, and I've got Nvidia broadcast noise removal. It'll be great. So we're all set.
No sweat, no noise. That's a perfect video.
So just to be clear, it's not RTX voice anymore. Like Nvidia's rebranded the whole thing to broadcast.
That's right. And broadcast has some extra features. See how the camera tracks. That's all done with AI. Alternatively, you can do like background blur, or you can do background removal.
Oh.
But I'm just doing the auto frame right now. And just to, let's see, this is without the Nvidia broadcast. Do you hear the fan now?
A little bit.
Yeah, so the headset mic actually does do noise removal on its own, but Nvidia broadcast does like the last little bit that I need. So it's pretty cool software. The big question is, and I don't have the answer, does it actually require an RTX card? It requires it to install, but an RTX voice allowed you to do a little hack, and basically it was using your CUDA cores to do the calculations. So there's nothing special about, you know, your various GPUs from Nvidia that you couldn't run those calculations on a GTX 1080 CUDA core. So that's the question: is does all the machine learning stuff run on the Tensor cores that are only available in their RTX series cards? Or is it still running on CUDA cores? And I don't actually know the answer right now. You know, it's one of those good questions. Someone else will figure it out on the internet because there's thousands of people out there doing it rather than just one of me.
Oh man, I do wish we had a couple more Jareds on the site, but
where's my Jared clone? That would be awesome. Hey, benchmark monkey, get going.
Oh man. Well, anyway, Sherri, I am so glad to have you on the show today because Laptop is such an awesome website, and it's really diversifying in content for a site called Laptop. And you just mentioned your best and worst that's coming out like as we speak. So can you just tell the people a little bit, about Laptop Mag and best and worst?
All right, so absolutely. Laptop Mag has been around for 29 years, and next year will be our 30th. And I have a lot of things planned for that, so stay tuned for us. As the name suggests, we are a laptop, and we primarily cover laptop. But we, our tagline is the pulse of mobile tech. So in the spirit of that, I'm just expanding out. So we've always been doing laptops. We've been doing tablets. We were doing smartphones. We're going back to smartphones. We're anything that you need to walk around, the tech that you walk around with. I'm thinking about smartwatches. I'm not sure yet, like one thing at a time. But we're also expanding into work from home, because if you're like most of the future brands, the majority of us are still working from home. So we're going into standing desks. We're going into like a little bit of an exercise equipment that you can use under your desk, and all these things that are like, whether you're working from home, whether you're working on the road, we're going to be covering it, and I am truly excited about that. Best and worst brands. It is the linchpin of laptop special reports. It's something that we've been doing since before I got here, and I've been with laptop for 12 years. Basically what it is that we use the results from our tech support showdown, which is another special report where we go undercover and we legitimately test every laptop brand's tech support, their web support, their online support, their phone, all of that. We go undercover. We create fake Twitter and Facebook profiles and ask and name questions. I put on fake voices like, "Hello, my nephew got me this gaming laptop and it's flashing all these lights and I don't know what to do. Can you help?" Like it's really funny, but we use that as a part of best and worst brands, which basically we choose a 12-month period and we go over every laptop that we've gotten for the qualifying brands. So we review their we review their review scores. We review their design, their innovation, their value and selection, and we compile a grade. And so this year we had 11 brands. And we actually have a new winner that I'm very excited about. It's always exciting when there's a new winner. So I'm really excited this year. This brand, they did not have any bad laptops. And not like there are bad laptops, but there are just some laptops that just don't shine. And it's not because they're inexpensive, because there are plenty of great budget laptops on the market, but some just don't rise to the level of performance and design and display that their peers do. And that's like, we're juggling all of that. But this company, they excelled in their innovation, their design, their tech support was pretty solid. They were not number one in tech support. That honor actually went to Razer this year. They bumped out Apple, which kudos to you, Razer.
Well, Sherri, are you going to tell me what's the best laptop brand?
Let me see. Let me check and see what's live yet, because I don't want to. Because
who was the winner last year?
Last year's winner was HP, and HP won last year because they just had a bevy of amazing laptops, like from the Elite Dragonfly to the redesigned X360 Spectres, which are always beautiful laptops, down to their Elite books and their Studio books. Even their budget Chromebooks were a sight to behold. And they just delivered really well on tech support and performance and battery life and all these things that you want in a great laptop. So HP was the winner last year. They have been dethroned. And
I actually played with an HP Envy last year, or this year. That it was their 17-inch model with a 4K display, and I was like, this is actually where 4K could make sense to me, because like in a laptop, 4K on like a 14-inch or 15-inch display. I'm like, this is so tiny, it's a joke. But at 17-inch, I'm like, I still think a 1440p would be the better size. But I was like, it was almost usable at native without any extra scaling. So, and it was a pretty cool looking, nice laptop. So I did like it.
Yeah, like HP, HP is kind of like Dell, like they're just synonymous with laptops. And I think sometimes when you think of laptops, you think of these gray or black, just slabs.
Dark space gray.
Oh my God.
Gunmetal.
Apple. Oh, Apple. But HP has been stepping up their game. The beautiful Elite Dragonfly, which is this gorgeous blue. The Spectres, which are have these copper accents and this beveled edges. It just really looks like pieces of jewelry. Like they had the folio with the leather. Like they just have all these innovative designs. But the brand that took them out, they came hard with it. So I'm gonna start giving hints. Like the brand that let's see. They also are known for colorful notebooks. Like they have a lot. They have several brands under them. Because if I start saying brands, I'm going to start calling out lines. They do not.
Is it a Suze? Well, I'll have to log on to laptopmag.com to find out the answer now, won't I?
I'm looking at it to see if your review was live yet, and it doesn't look like it is.
Well, Sherri, do you want to talk a little trash? What's the worst laptop brand? Can you tell us that?
Actually,
I've got a lot of worst laptop brands. I used to do laptops for a long time at On Tech, yeah.
Let's see. Let me refresh to see what actually is live.
Here, all the people out there about to buy a laptop. You don't want them to make a mistake.
All right. So Microsoft is live. So you can check out their report card. Mm-hmm. Alienware is live. You can check out their report card.
That's very cool. So you do it brand by brand. They each get their own individual report.
Yep.
Very cool.
So you can see what they did, because even if you're even the worst brand, they excel in some things. And it's just that their cumulative score just didn't, it's a scoring thing, and it just didn't rise to the occasion. Like maybe they fell down in design. Maybe they don't have a varied enough design. And like what I will say about best and worst brands, next year will be my first year where I can actually tweak and redesign it. There are some things that I'm looking forward to tweaking around. So you're going to see a new best and worst brands. I just want to make sure that not only is it helpful to the reader, I want to make sure that it's equitable in making sure that every brand can be shown in their best lights. It's hard, you can't, somebody's got to win. There's going to be, in this case, 10 losers, but at least I can try to make it as fair as possible and give people a real, okay, this your favorite brand might have ranked here, but here's why. It doesn't mean that they're a crappy brand. It just means that they have some things to work on in this criteria.
Very cool. Well, anyone watching right now, we have the queen of laptop reviews, and she's a very honest woman. So if you have any questions, definitely put them in. We have one from Rami asking, did you steal my boss? I know you, Rami. I did steal your boss, and I'm going to keep her for the next hour or so. Rami's a writer for Laptop Mag for all the viewers. Awesome. Well, another thing we have going on, as Jared mentioned, is a lot of RTX testing, a lot of Ampere, 3080 specifically. And I see we already have a question on that from Richard, who said, I like the performance of the 3080, but not the energy usage. When will there be lower power versions?
So it's one of the interesting things, like they boosted performance quite a bit relative to the last gen, but the 3080 is a 320 watt TGP, total graphics power. And it's, I mean, on the Founders Edition, I actually exceeded that in multiple tests. So I was hitting 330 to 335 watts. I've got two other cards that I'm running through the ringer. We've got the MSI Trio. Let me turn off my little zoom mode here for a second so you can see them all. Oh, that's the wrong one. So many things to play with. There we go. So there's the Trio. Let me give you a size comparison because this thing is just a monster.
Oh. Wow.
Me and Sherri were just talking. The 3080 is already a
so
lot.
it weighs 1.5 kilograms. It weighs like almost 200 grams more than the Founders Edition, and it's also a 2.7 slot. I've also got the Asus that is also 2.7 slot. It's not quite as huge, but I mean these are both big cards. I don't know if you you're not going to put those in a small form factor case, I don't think. Performance wise, the MSI is overclocked a little bit more. So it came out just a couple percent ahead of the Founders Edition. The Asus card also has a factory overclock. It's got a boost clock of 1785 megahertz versus the Founders Edition is 1710. But in actual benchmarks, both cards exceed their boost clock. They're running 1850 to 1950 depending on the game. And the net result is that the Founders Edition and the Asus, it's the tough gaming OC version. But they both ran neck and neck, like within 1% of each other, and so it's a tie in terms of performance, which is fine. Do you like the bling? Do you like the bigger cooler? The Asus card actually runs really cool. Like under load, playing Metro Exodus for like 15 minutes, it peaked at 60 degrees Celsius on the GPU. That's what we're seeing from the utilities anyway. I don't have thermal sensors underneath the graphics chip to actually tell you what it's really measured at, but that was compared to 72C on the Founders Edition. The MSI also, I think, was right around 62 or 63C. So they're all running quite cool and also quiet. The fan speeds at stock are all sitting at like 1500 RPM while gaming, that's lower than anything we saw from the 20 series. So power went up, but because of bigger coolers, improved coolers, and things like that, their noise levels and their heat hasn't gone up. Assuming like if you've got a small closed case, that 330 watts has to go somewhere. So that's going to be problematic for small form factor builds. Someone asked though, like, will we see lower power versions of the 380? I don't think so. But the 3070 is a 220 watt TGP. So that's 100 watts less. My concern is how will it actually perform? You know, Jensen from Nvidia, he's like, yeah, the 3080 is twice as fast as the 2080. And I'm like, in a few select cases, right? So Doom Eternal at 4K Ultra Nightmare, I did actually measure the 3080 was twice as fast as the 2080. Everything else was 80%, 70%, sometimes 50%. Overall, the average boost was 70%. So that's like a reference point. When he says twice as fast, real world, broad suite of benchmarks, it was 70% faster. He said the 3070 is going to be faster than a 2080 Ti. I'm like, real world, broad suite of benchmarks? I don't think it will be. I'll find out next month, right? But I'm skeptical because if you look at the 3080 and then you drop down to the 3070, the 3070 has 14 gigabits per second GDDR6. It's got 8 gigabytes instead of 10 gigabytes. So bandwidth goes from 760 gigabytes per second down to 448 gigabytes per second, which was the same as the 2080 and the 2070 Super, and the 2080 Super was a little faster. So 2060 Super, that was the other one that had 8 gig. The 3080, I think it's got 50% more memory bandwidth. And then it's got 68 SMs, and that works out to 8704 CUDA cores. And you compare that to the 3070 has 46 SMs, and it's 5888 CUDA cores. And so if you look at that, even with clock speed variance, it's like 35% faster. So I think if you take all of that together, that the 3070 is going to end up a bit slower than a 2080 Ti, but it will do so at less power. So that's something. We're still getting nowhere close to the claimed 1.9x increase in performance per watt, which was kind of that was fuzzy math. It's like, hey, if you run both cards at 60 FPS or whatever, you limit the frame rate on the 3080 to be the same as the 2080's frame rate, then it would use a lot less power. And it's like, well, but that's not what people do. They want the performance. And so if you go for the performance, you use a lot of power. So 3070 will be lower power, could probably go into your small form factor builds easier. I don't think 3080 or 3090 are going to be anywhere close to that. And some of it might be Samsung's 8 nanometer tech. The kind of scuttlebutt around the tech scene is that TSMC's N7 is better than Samsung's 8N. And I think that's kind of coming into play. It's not like a huge difference, but a 10 to 15% performance difference or efficiency difference or power difference or whatever you want to call it certainly would show up when you're building a big GPU like this.
So I want to get to some viewer questions because we have a bunch. One is asking, Ruru2 is asking if there are going to be any 4-slot cards, 394 slot cards. Can we handle that?
You know what? It reminds me of the Onion story. Screw 4-slot. Let's go straight to 5-slot, right? You guys have you see that one? It was before the 5 blade Mach 5 from Gillette, and they were joking about the proliferation of razor blades. And sure enough, they joked about someone making a 5-slot, and then it happened. Well, I mean a 5 blade. So no, I don't know. 4-slot seems like that's really excessive. There is something to be said. Like this MSI I mentioned, it's just a monster. It weighs 1.5 kilograms. It comes with a support thing that you attach that goes across the top to hold it in place and keep the back end from sagging over time, which is a real problem. Like when you've got a card that heavy, especially if you're a system integrator and you're shipping it across the country, you don't want that thing to jiggle around and break the PCI Express slot or things like that. So if you hook it up,
that makes me so stressed out.
Yeah. So if you hook it up to 3 slots instead of 2, or maybe even 4 slots, you would get more support from the case. It wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, but I don't know. I don't think anyone's going to do 4-slot. Go ahead and prove me wrong. Zotac Amp Extreme Ultra 4-slot coming soon.
So we have a few questions. Sherri, I know you've been busy with your best and worst getting that up today, but I don't know if you've been following how quickly the 3090 has sold out. And I know you're 3080, yeah. And I know you're one of those people who I know you like to buy the new tech. You're not holding back. You're not too scared. So are you surprised to see this? Are you sad to see it?
I mean, I'm sad in the sense that scalpers have bought a nice chunk of the cards and are jacking them up to exorbitant rates. Like, it's bad enough that we're in a pandemic and people have to really think about how they're spending their money and where they're spending their money. And I don't think I think it's sad that scalper, there needs to be systems in place where you can't just buy the bulk of things and then sell them back to the community at ridiculous amounts of money. Like maybe it's 2 per or what have you. But everybody, everybody should have a chance to have a 3080 if they want a 3080. I guess the same goes with the PlayStation 5 pre-orders because all of those are gone for right now. Thankfully, everybody on the Laptop Mag team got a pre-order in, so
that's all that matters.
We are all good. But my poor little brother, he's just like, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you, bro.
You're gonna give him yours?
What?
No,
oh, man.
But
I mean, the thing is, like, is anyone surprised they sold out? This has happened
No.
with the 20 series at launch. It happened with AMD's RX 5700 series at launch. It happened with the 10 series at launch. It happened with the 900 and the 700 series at launch. Like, this happens every single new GPU launch, at least for the like brand new high-end architecture. You know, the GTX 1050s didn't sell out at launch. Neither did the 1650s. Go figure, right? Because they were boring compared to the high-end stuff. The
But
big
Jared,
question.
what about the third-party cards? Or is there any hope for those having better
No.
stock? No.
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 I
Sorry, y'all.
I mean, like, the nice thing is we've actually got third-party cards at launch. Like the 20 series, I think in the 10 series as well, the third-party cards came a month later. Nvidia basically said, no, you've only got the Founders Edition for the first month, and they still couldn't keep up with demand. But my big concern is how this is going to play out over the coming months. Like, they say they've been in production since early August. How soon until supply matches the demand? And, you know, we know more people are staying at home and they're bored, and so they're playing games and they want to buy the new hardware. So maybe people, even in the pandemic, they're actually buying more of these cards than they would otherwise. The other question, and I almost, it's he who shall not be named, cryptocurrency mining.
Yep.
I wrote about this in the article. I got 80 mega hash without even really trying out of the 3080 for Ethereum mining, and I played with it a little bit more and got it up to 90 mega hash, and that's using NiceHash miner, which probably isn't super optimized for the 3080. Like, if you're a cryptocurrency miner, I bet you can break 100 mega hash, and that means that at current rates, you could potentially pay for a card that costs $700 in a matter of 3 or 4 months. Will that actually play out, or will it take 9 months? I don't think miners are going to care one way or the other. They're going to buy as many of these things as they can, just like happened in 2017 with the, you know, things went crazy and all the GPUs were sold out for 6 months. It was awful. And unless the cryptocurrency market crashes soon or something changes quickly, it could be ugly for the next 3 months or more.
Well,
I hope that doesn't happen.
One of the things I'm seeing a lot of this time, people are thinking a lot that it was bots because it sold out literally in seconds. Here's Dragon's Roost story. Dragon Roost had 4 sites up trying to get a card. One, I got the green box, but as quick as I could click on it, it was out of stock. I'm convinced if you didn't have a bot, you didn't get one. See, and I've seen a lot of stories like that.
Yeah.
That's a shame. That's ridiculous.
Well, and one question which we don't know the answer to, because Nvidia will never say and AMD doesn't say and things like that, is how many cards have actually been shipped out right now. You know, if it's 10,000 cards, there was no chance that it was ever going to meet demand at all. If it's 50,000 cards, like, it probably still wasn't going to come close to meeting demand. I think there's a legitimate case for saying there's probably several 100,000 people worldwide who would buy one of these at $700 if they can get their hands on one. And so, you know, how long is it going to take them to make several 100,000 3080 cards? That's kind of the $10 billion, actually $28.4 billion question.
Yeah. So here's, I think what'll be an easier question from Inderjeet, which I'm sorry if I butchered your name, but that's half the fun of a live show, right? Does the i7 7700 support the 3070? Yes,
that's super easy. I tested the 3080, which is a faster GPU, with an i7 4770K, so the old Haswell that shipped in 2013, and it worked just fine. It was very much CPU bottlenecked at 1080p, and 1440p was still CPU bottlenecked, but a little bit less so. And at 4K Ultra, it was only like, overall, it was like 6 or 7% slower than a brand new 9900K or 10900K. So, you know, you wouldn't lose a ton of performance if you're running at 4K Ultra, which you probably ought to be if you're buying a 3080. Or you should be running ray tracing games with DLSS upscaling to 4K, right? So yeah, the 7700K should work. I also tested a 10100, the Core i3 10100 with the 3080, and they're both 4-core 8-thread chips. They're both the Skylake architecture. Like, even though one's called Kaby Lake and the 10100 is called Comet Lake, they're actually the same Skylake architecture that's just been carried forward and tweaked and refined a little bit. And the 10100 is a bit slower than a 7700K, generally speaking, and it still was within 3 to 5% at 4K Ultra. So you could certainly do it. And if you ever feel your system's not fast enough, then you replace your motherboard and your CPU and you upgrade.
Awesome, awesome.
You can take it with you. That's the great thing about graphics card upgrades. You can take it with you when you move on to a new PC.
Cool. So thank you for the questions. If anyone else has some more questions for Jared, he's doing like 24/7 ampere testing right now. So it is on his mind.
It's true.
Question away. So Jared just showed us, what's going on in the lab. Now I'm going to show you what we have in the peripheral side of the lab, where all the cool kids hang out. So this week I tested this new mouse that HP just announced. It is the HP Omen Vector Wireless, as you can tell. It's $100 and it is not too shabby. So the biggest selling point here is its battery life. HP is claiming up to 180 hours without RGB and 80 with RGB on. So let me turn that on for you. So this actually probably has the best battery life out of any rechargeable gaming mouse we've ever tested. So I used it for literally 60 hours and 40 minutes, of course, with the RGB on, max brightness, max speed, everything. So after 60 hours, 40 minutes, it had 11 to 20% battery remaining. I say that because the software only goes down in 10% increments. So it'll never show you 15% battery. It'll go from 20 to 10. So that's not bad. So yeah, that 80-hour RGB figure is definitely attainable. I think one of the cool things it has that I don't know why more mice actually don't do this. So it's a power saving feature where when the sensor feels movement, that the logo, the RGB, that's the logo that goes under your palm, it turns off because when it's moving, your palm is probably covering that logo anyway. So I just don't know why we don't see that in more mice, is what I was thinking. But then it also makes me wonder, like, should we just stop having RGB logos under the palm where it's just going to get covered up anyway?
They're there for when no one's using the computer, right? Like I've got my Destiny mouse with the glowing Destiny thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I'm not as big as RGB on RGB stuff. It's fine, but like at night, my wife's always like, "Man, why is your office glowing?" I'm like, "RGB."
What do you think, Sherri? Do you like this feature, or should they just get rid of the palm logo?
First of all, I'm all about RGB. I live and breathe it. Like so much so, one of my bidets has a glowing nightlight.
Did you say bidet?
Yes, smart bidet.
Yes.
You said one of them. You have multiple bidets.
I have 2 baths. I have a 1.5 bath. So, but like if I'm downstairs or if I'm upstairs, like I will be spritzed and blow dried.
Like you deserve, primed and pampered.
Exactly. But it's actually one of the Koei. Well, they're both Koei bidets, but this is the Koei 4000 that's upstairs. It has a glowing blue nightlight, which is convenient. So when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're trying to stay in that semi-unconscious state so you can just drop right back off to sleep. And I live with my boyfriend and he does not put the seat down. I can at least have enough wherewithal to look at the light and see, oh, he once again did not put the seat down and save myself from a wet behind. But I live RGB. I think it should be on all the things. And as far as power management, I definitely see your point. But as far as the flash and the pop and the circumstance, like, yeah, put all the logos there. The logo is not for you. It's for the people that like, oh, dag, what's that? This is what it is.
The HP Omen logo, Omen being their, gaming series, it's just a diamond. So it's actually not offensive. And you don't automatically think, because my issue is I don't like, kind of advertising for brands sometimes.
I get it.
This diamond, it's just a diamond. If you get its Omen, you get its Omen, and that's cool. But otherwise, you got to keep diamond on your mouse. Sherri, a suggestion for you for your lavish bathroom lifestyle. Abram suggests you get a smart toilet paper roll. We do have an article up on that. Use a Raspberry Pi and you'll get alerts as to when you're running out of toilet paper. So you'll never run out of toilet paper.
Well, honestly, with the bidet, it really cuts down on your paper, the ones that I have, because not only does it spritz, it blow dries. So all you really have to do is get a few pieces to make sure that it did the job it was supposed to do. And 9 times out of 10, it does. I've tested this thing on chilly nights, where I've just made my like mole spicy chip, like it.
Testing. We do testing here, guys. So to bring us back,
testing.
to bring us back to RGB, there's a good point here from Rurutu. They suggest put the RGB headlights in front of the mouse under the buttons, which I do love that. I love when they do that, or when they do the ring around the bottom. I just think like if you could see it all the time, that's so much better because it's about visuals, right? And also brings me to another comment from Abram, who asked, what about the RGB cups on your headset? So when you can't even see them, but you know they're there.
It's not for you to see them, it's for others.
Everyone else.
That's right.
But you're not even listening to anyone else. So you mean when you're on video?
Like
video, or you're at a LAN party or competition, they can see your glowing headset.
Exactly. Like you see me glowing, you see me shining. I know you do.
That's great. So I'm curious what
was
you
that,
guys...
Was that Moana song, I'm Shiny? That you got to sing that while you wear them.
I've never heard this song. I will have to...
The crab song.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have.
Yeah, so to take us back to this mouse, I'm just curious to hear your guys' opinions. It's very... the battery life is awesome. Like I said, one of the longest lasting rechargeable ones we've had, but it's not a very original mouse. It actually reminds me a lot of Razer mice and how it feels, that lightweight, very lightly textured plastic feel. It doesn't like feel expensive when you first grab it. You're like, oh, this is $100, but it's great because it's lightweight, easy to move around when you're gaming like aggressively. It reminds me a lot of the Razer Mamba wireless actually in its shape. It even has like,
yeah.
You see that? Yeah. So it was kind of tough to rate it. So I'm curious what you guys think. Like, how much has battery life kind of changed things for you? Like, is that a massive selling point for you over like an expensive mouse? This is $100 and it's not bringing that much new to the table.
The battery life thing, like if I was out, battery life does matter, like because even when we were in the office, I do prefer a wireless mouse because I have so many things already plugged in to my setup. So if I could cut a wire, I want to cut a wire. So that does matter to me. So 80 hours in an office setting, that could be a couple, at least that could be a month before I have to really think about charging. So that's worth it to me. As far as the shape, you're right. It does remind me of a Mamba, and I'm fine with that. And if it's lightweight and comfortable, I think I would spend the money.
I think Jared's a harder sell.
I'm a cheap mouse guy. Not cheap, right? But like I've got the Razer Death Adder. Like I've got this one that's the Destiny branded one. I've got another one on my PC that's back behind me. That's the same mouse, but it's not the special brand. I got it last Black Friday for I think $25, and it works great. And I use wired mice because I'm not a laptop guy really these days. I don't go too many places, so I sit in my office and I've got a wired mouse and it works great. I do have to say though, like the things that we've done over the past 10 years, say with batteries, are super impressive. Like this headset I'm wearing, it's a Sennheiser, and I think it's rated for 250 hours of battery life, and that sounds like obscene to me. I'm like, no way, right? That's what I thought when I got it. Well, I leave this thing unplugged for months, and then I kind of go, I don't know what the battery is, but maybe I'll just plug it in just overnight in case. But I use these every morning for our office meetings and for any live shows and stuff. And I have never once had it run out of battery on me, which, knock on wood. But it's great to see like laptops and smartphones and mice and keyboards and headsets and stuff, our battery life has all improved tremendously thanks to newer technologies over the past few years, and that's pretty freaking cool. And I'm looking forward to see, what we do next. Like I don't know a ton about battery tech, but there's definitely stuff that they're researching and working on. So it's like, yeah, at some point, do we have laptops that can run for a whole week without recharging? Maybe in my lifetime. That'd be pretty cool.
A week? Ooh, that's a big ask.
That's
Well,
the
it
best
might be a
laptop
Chromebook,
brand
right?
there. There's a Chromebook.
I don't believe in Chromebooks.
I don't. I mean, they exist. My kids all have them for school, and they're
They
super
exist.
bad. They're so slow.
Yeah, I don't.
The school has like 6-year-old Chromebooks that they send out with the kids, and my kids are like, these are awful.
I mean, for the record, that's pretty cool, though, that the Chromebooks are so cheap and affordable that they can be given out to kids at that level. And, I didn't get computers handed out to me when I was in school.
Yeah, I think our school district does something where it's like starting in elementary school. I don't know if it's first grade or second grade. They get a Chromebook, and that is their Chromebook until I think it's till the end of middle school, at which point they turn that in and they get a new Chromebook to finish off high school.
Wow.
Yeah, that low price enables that, and I'm sure for many kids that's like their only computer or their first computer or whatever. So
yeah, my kids have access to a few other computers, needless to say,
and all the graphics cards they could want.
Yeah.
Did Hardware review the Quest 2?
Yes, we did. We we did review the Quest 2. We gave it our EC, our Editor's Choice Award. I saw Laptop Mag did as well, so you can check that out. You can check out both reviews on Tom's Hardware and Laptop Mag. See,
that's actually what we really need, right? Is if VR is going to take off, you need a really good battery life on your VR headset that you can play for, I don't know, do we really want to stay in VR for 8 hours straight?
These days.
Like, as I was doing the review, I was trying to figure out, because the Quest 2 has the same rated battery life as the original Quest. I actually have it right here. I'm holding it upside down, but there we go. And I was trying to figure out whether or not to knock it or not. I decided that I would like it to be longer, just on the strength that now Oculus is really doubling down, backed by Facebook, is really doubling down on the social aspect of VR, because Zuckerberg, I guess last year or the year before, said that he would ideally like a VR headset in every household. The Quest 2 is a big step in getting us there. They've lowered the price down to $299. So if you remember, that's about the same price that the PSVR debuted for when it launched. And in addition, which was good, but with the PSVR, you were tethered to the PlayStation. You had to have a PlayStation. You had to have the Move controllers, and you also had to have the PS camera. So that's and that's before you even start buying the games. So that's a lot of extra cost to it. This $299, you get 64 gigs of onboard storage. You've got that Qualcomm SoC on here, and you've got the high quality near almost 4K display. It's an LCD fast switch display, and I've enjoyed my time using this. The social aspect of it is really cool. Like what they've done in venues, it's kind of like if Second Life and PlayStation Home had a baby and it was really glossy and polished. The facial tracking and the lip movement and all of that is really on point. And I could see myself doing more than 2 or 3 hours a year. So to help you with that, Oculus is going to sell another strap that has a battery pack built in. I think it costs $129. I can't remember I think that's the right price. So they've got all these accessories. So I want to get that battery pack and see how it does for the overall battery life, because I'm a huge fan of VR. And I can stay hours in VR and just be okay with it. And I think more people, since this is now more affordable, I think a lot of people will want to do the same. And they're going to 2 hours isn't going to cut it, especially if you're gaming.
I gotta say, pulling that VR headset out of like what seemed like your back pocket was one of the most Sherri things I've ever seen.
Well, I'm just surrounded by them. Here's the original Quest, and then there's, let's see what else we have over here. Headphones.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to keep up. I've got graphics cards I could do that with.
Headphones.
I got some keyboards and mice. Don't challenge me.
Laptop.
Well, we have a question from while we're
Just go ahead.
I don't think this is going to end. So we have a question from about the Omen Vector wireless mouse. They asked if it has wireless charging and an RGB mouse pad, which Logitech has their wireless charging mouse and their Power Play, and a bunch do. It doesn't. This charges over USB-C. It comes with a braided cable, and it's actually supposed to charge very quickly. I think it's supposed to be you get like half an hour of playtime and after a minute of charging, something wild. I have the real numbers in the review. Check it out. But battery is definitely on point with this mouse. So let's see what other questions we have. Ruru2 is interested in the Quest 2. They just think it's interesting that they jammed all that tech in a tiny headset for $300. Yeah, it's pretty cool. With it, they're moving away from the Rift, which are their headsets that connect to PCs. Just kind of sad and kind of weird, but in terms of adoption and what people are willing to have in their house and spend and invest in, I think this makes sense. Sherri, I'm sure you have some thoughts.
I mean, like, yes, they are. I'm sad that they're retiring the Rift and the Rift S, but like, if you do want that extra buff of power, you can always get the link cable, which will be rolling out. Even though I don't think they should be charging $79 for a cable.
No, it should come in the box.
Yeah, it's a USB Type C cable. Yes, it's because it's 5 meters long. So yes, I get it, but I'm like, $79? I don't know Facebook. I don't know Oculus. But if you do want that extra bump of power, you plug it in and you get that bump of power. And it doesn't match the Rift, but it's pretty close. So if you still want that experience, you can do that. And it's not like the games that are available now, if you still have the Rift or you still have the Rift S, as I do, I have both, you can still play them and you can still use them. It's just that support, support is going to wane off after a while. And speaking of which, the other elephant in the room is that Facebook is making you merge your Oculus account into your Facebook account.
I hate it. I hate it. It's a turn off.
Like, I just pulled the Band-Aid off and just did it. I just did it because what's basically going to happen is in 2023, they are going to phase out the Oculus accounts. And if you can still use your headset if you don't if you don't do the merging. If you don't do that, it'll still work, but some features, some games, some apps might not work. And if you're a developer, you don't have to worry about it. They're not going to cut your support off because you're a developer. But this is really for the rest of us. So Facebook's line of thinking in this is that it's one less independent platform that we have to think about, and two, like, that brings Oculus's code of conduct as they start launching out the social aspects, which is venues, and the Horizons platform, which is currently in beta, which I'm hoping to get into because it looks really cool. That essentially brings them into Facebook's code of conduct, which, for better or worse, because if you are a person of color, I can tell you that quite a few of us have been in Facebook jail for just nominal reasons. So we'll see how that works. In the time that I've used the social, again, I've said it's really cool, and if you do run into a troll, you do have ways to kind of mitigate that troll. So you can either what you'll do is you'll raise your left wrist and a menu will come right here, and you'll get a mute button, physical block button that will basically keep them from you, keep them out of your space, a report button, and I forgot what the other one is. So Like it's kind of like being in a video game. Mute them, block them, report them. We'll see how well it goes. I think this is going to be really important in VR because theoretically you can really be in someone's personal space. So I'm hoping with that block, it means that they can't get anywhere near you. They can't like interact with you in any way, shape, form, or fashion. I haven't had it happen to myself in VR, but I've heard some complaints around in forums and things of that when they were first testing it, that people will come in there, and if you're presenting as a woman, they try to touch sensitive areas and like just being a troll. So I'm hoping that they have found a way to really deal with this. For its part, Facebook is going to add a VR section to its code of conduct, so definitely stay tuned for that. But I don't know how I feel about having to roll everything into Facebook. Like, you already own Instagram, like you own Oculus.
We are Borg. Resistance is futile.
It really
They're different things. They're different things. I mean, I see what you're saying. Like, there's a social aspect of it. And when I talk to VR about people who haven't, stayed up with the tech, that's what they ask. Like, oh, like, can we go and like hang out together, like in like Batman Beyond or like any of those old shows? But I don't know. For me, what I'm into right now is the gaming, and I could game alone, and I don't need like my Facebook friends, or I don't even want to think about my Facebook friends whose birthday it is. Like, it's separate to me. But
I
have a choice.
Birthday parties on Facebook in VR. Just can't wait.
Yeah. All right. So that is about all the time we have for today, but I want to tell you all to subscribe to our YouTube channel if you like what you see. We have a lot of other awesome videos. Jared right here actually did a live Q&A talking about the testing of the 3080 card, so definitely check that out if you didn't get to see it earlier this week. We are having the show every Thursday live at 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you subscribe, you won't miss any of the fun. So I want to thank Jared for bringing some RTX fun to the show this week. And
I'll be back probably next week with RTX 3090.
We'll be waiting for you.
It'll be bigger and better.
Awesome. And a huge thanks to our very special guest, Sherri Smith, Editor-in-Chief of Laptop Mag. Sherri, thanks so much for stopping by. Do you have any last words for the people?
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to collab with my people over at Tom's Hardware. I love you like fat kids love cake. We are minutes away from launching our third, second, and first place winners for Best and Worst Brands. So please tune in, please click on laptop. I'm really excited, and just stay tuned for more mobile coverage. And yeah, have a great one.
Yeah, the show's definitely getting, the website's definitely getting more and more interesting every day. So keep up the awesome work, and tune in next week. We'll be here again next Thursday. See ya.
See ya.